What's the trick in making my love stick? What's the trick? Two gentlemen of elegant appearance in a state of bustitude. I give them coffee-colored crystals.
Welcome back to another episode of AM Sports Consultancy and Chats, as I like to call them now. I'm delighted to have you involved. Thank you so much for your time. My name is Anthony Morrissey, the CEO and founder of AM Sports Consultancy, a sports consultancy with a little bit of a difference. This episode, I'm not going to be talking to anybody. Instead, I'm going to be talking to you guys and giving you some of my tidbits, some of my information, some of my knowledge that I've gained from my 11 or 12 years working within the sports industry. Specifically, I'm going to speak about hospitality. I'm going to speak about global events in this little short episode, so you can get an idea of where I see issues that you may be facing as a club or federation with your hospitality and how you can actually go and fix them. More importantly, maybe even how I can help you do so. But let's get to that at the end. I'll start with this. A lot of the reasons that people fail in hospitality, or a lot of reasons that people have issues within hospitality, can be broken down into 4 different sections. And the first section I'll bring you to is this one. It's a lack of experience. So what do I mean by that? Well, it's not just the experience of the person within the hospitality department. It's not just the person that looks after the exec side, but it's also the obsession that a lot of clubs would have to make sure that that person is a salesperson. And while sales is obviously very important, and at the end of the day, that's whether you see if a hospitality product or a global event or any event is successful or not, what I believe is the first criteria you need for a hospitality executive is to make sure that they're a very good relationship manager. Why? Because the relationship isn't just with your customers. The relationship is also with your security staff, it's with your caterers, it's with your bar staff, it's your ticket office, it's right across the board. It's them getting the corporate gift in, it's them getting the guest speaker in. All those things are really important, and you have to have an experienced member of staff doing all those things who's got relationship management as high in their list, and then sales and a certain personality to be able to bring that to life. Where I found a lot of problems within that for clubs that I've spoken to while I worked at Munster and before and after comes around the lines of that people don't really like the person that's connected into the hospitality department, or they're a very good salesperson, but they just don't have things ready for me when I need them. And that kind of rolls into my next point, which is the lack of preparation. Preparation is the most important thing for any hospitality executive or any business development manager. You've got to make sure you're prepped for each game and treat each game or each event as if it's the exact same as the last one. Problems come sometimes when you prepare for a bigger game. In the case when I worked at Munster, Heineken Cup games would have been quite good, but if you're involved in an English Premier soccer team, it may be involved in the Champions League, or it may be something if you're a federation that it might be the Olympics or one of your national events. That could be what you'd be focusing on completely. What happens then is you build up a little reputation of not worrying about the other events and the other games that go on, and that's where you have a problem, because people talk and people communicate. And if you're not prepared, ready for those games and those events, that may impact you right across the board and creates a bad reputation for yourself that you don't necessarily want. So prepare properly. Prepare from 2 weeks out. 2 weeks before each game, 2 weeks before an event is when you start doing your checklists. You start looking at exactly who do I need to speak to. You start doing your table plans. You start getting preparations as to what happens on match week, and you also set up your meetings so that you're talking to every one of those different departments that you have to manage right across the board. Remember what I said? Bars, caterers, security staff, ticket office. Make sure you've set up all those meetings from 2 weeks out so you're aware of any problems that can be there, because the problems can be solved 3 or 4 days before a game. Match day comes, problems are going to happen. What you don't want to have is problems that could have been solved 3 or 4 days beforehand becoming a bigger deal and a bigger problem now. Third one, no checklist and no strategies. I spoke a second ago about preparation and making sure that you have your checklist. Making sure your checklist is structured in a way that makes it easy for you to follow and follow through. It also, if you think about it, imagine if you got sick. What you want to be able to do is turn around to somebody else and go, there's my checklist. I need you to walk through that. And for them to be able to do the job, not to the standard you would do it, because you've got the experience and the knowledge, but they would be able to make sure the event goes ahead. That's what you need to have at your checklist. So it's not just about match day. It's not just about 2 hours before the game, seeing if I can go through that. No strategy as well. And by strategy, I mean having a situation where you've built up relationships with all the key people involved, like that bars and caterers that I spoke about earlier, but then also having a strategy as to what exactly you're going to do with them. What's the important questions you need answered? What do you need to be able to walk through and make sure everything's accordingly done that you are comfortable with? Because at the end of the day, no matter what the rest of the venue says, it's got to be that you've got to be comfortable because you've sold it and it's your relationship and it's your reputation. And you need to get that working as best you possibly can. React to issues. Issues are going to happen. As I said earlier, if you're not prepared and you haven't done your checklists, there's going to be problems happening on match day. What do I mean by that? People forget their tickets. People bring their kids that no one knew they were coming. People will invite guests that they forgot all about and they thought they had a table of 12 and they had a table of 10. There's going to be vegetarian offers. There may be staffing issues in the kitchen. There may be a vast array of other issues that are there, from when people are queuing up to come in, it's pouring rain, right across the board. There's quite a vast array of issues that you can imagine for match days that many other people don't see. And what you've got to have is you've got to be able to react to them, but you've got to do it in a professional manner and you've got to treat it like it's that way. Really important that you make sure everyone is aware that you're in control and you're calm. And that's why it's really important to have that person experience. If that person isn't experienced, and that person is someone that they've hired from internal, whether it's a player, whether it's somebody else within the club whose hospitality is almost their second role, and they're now doing that as help out, you're going to get found out, and the product reputation is going to be impacted. And you've got to make sure that that's not the case. So, what tips can I give you? Well, from my 12 years experience, I've got 3 tips that I'm going to flash by you. I think will help your product, will help your hospitality executive to really focus on what they'll be able to do. Before I go on, this is something that AMSC can help you with as well. We can help train your hospitality executives, your business development managers, to make sure that they have the right checklist for your club, so to make sure you feel that way. So make sure you follow me on any of my social media platforms, or you can look at my website, amsc.se, or you can give me a shout on anthony.morrissey@amsc.se. I'll give you more details about that later on. So, the 3 tips. Number 1, pretty obvious because I said it so many times, hire experience in all areas of hospitality. Make sure there's nobody within the hospitality product that doesn't know exactly what they're doing when game 1 comes around the corner. Make sure that the knowledge that's there has been fed through properly. So if there is a change of staff, that there's a briefing and there's a handover that's been done to the standard that you believe is right, so that person feels confident walking in the door. Number 2, plan and walk through all areas of the event. So again, from 2 weeks out, make sure that you know exactly when you're meeting each individual department, know exactly what you're asking and the questions that have happened before, the problems that have arisen, and make sure they've been solved. And then the day before the event, walk through with the caterers every single room, the numbers to be expected, the table plan look like, the timings that you've got around every single part, from the guest speaker to the food service to when the game actually starts, the video content. Make sure your AV company is also comfortable with the details you've done and make sure they're in place for your meetings. And then your MC, make sure that MC has done a walkthrough at least the day before the event in the room, so you're comfortable, as almost like a studio manager, that you're comfortable with what's being said and how it's being done. The more walkthroughs you can do, the better. The more planning you can do, the better. Why? Because what I said 2 minutes ago, mistakes will happen on the day. Things will go wrong that you don't expect. And if you're just dealing with those ones, it's so much easier than having to deal with ones you could have solved earlier on. Finally, and this is around the hospitality product as a whole, make the product unique to your club. Make it so that whatever you've seen somewhere else or you've looked up online and so that's a really good idea, take it and put it uniquely to your club. What do I mean by that? Well, make sure that, for example, the food can be from the local area. The tablecloths and the visualization on all the walls can be a correlation to your club and your club alone, whether that's the history of the club, whether that's the future of the club, or whether that's the current element players that are involved. And then also look into what your customers like. What is it about your club or your federation that your customers love? And tap into that across your hospitality product. Make sure that the images that are on the programs, make sure the images that are on the big screen out on the pitch, make sure that leaks in quite nicely to what you're doing in the hospitality product. So, for example, the menus, if you're printing off menus, make that look like the match day program. Those are the little tidbits and little bits that you can do to make that product differently. So, What did AMSC, what can AMSC do to help you in that scenario? Well, first of all, I've got experience of over 11 to 12 years of working in hospitality, managing teams that work within hospitality, and then taking that experience for the last last four of that, and managing that across the board for global events around the world. So I know when it comes to what experience you can do. I know the importance and also the problems that come if you don't follow the tips I've just given. Of course, AMSC are more than happy to sit down with any club or federation and not just train people, not just train their staff, but also walk through and create the strategy for them unique to their club. And then watch you guys go and implement that and force that through. That's something AMSC are very happy to do. And again, contact me on anthony.morrissey@amsc.se or www.amsc.se. If you didn't take that downtime, have a look down below. I'll leave all my contact details down there. Hospitality products is very important. It's a very important leeway into where you're looking to go. It's access into sponsorship. So a lot of sponsors would potentially have come originally from hospitality. Those are the lifebloods of what it is. It may seem like small money in the sense of it's 750 euros a ticket or a table, or it might be $5,000 a table, whatever that may be in comparison to the overall ticket sales. But those are the people that you get in from a corporate perspective, and their first experience of your club needs to be at the highest standard. Don't accept anything less than that. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed my little tidbits, 10, 11 minutes of what I've been thinking, what I've been saying. I'll do a couple more of these around different global events and different activation ideas that you might have that you can actually grow your brand and grow your club and your federation. Please have a look at my website. You'll see all the chats that I've done. This went to second season now. Some fantastic people like Johan van Graan. I have one coming up with Niamh Briggs that I did just yesterday, which is absolutely fantastic. And then we've got different people right across from Paul Dehaney of the Horse Racing Ireland to Laura Candela of Chicago Bears to AJ Poole of Pittsburgh Steelers and loads more in between. So all you can do is check out my website or check out my YouTube channel. Anyway, my music's going to kick me out. As always, thank you so much for your support. Hope you have a good day. Talk to you very soon.